Today's Talk About It Tuesday question is it better to pay off a mortgage or continuously carry debt on a cash flow producing investment property? Okay, great question. I get this question a lot especially from new investors. So let's just talk about how value is derived from a cash flow property. And really it's about trying to maximize the value of a cash flow investment property. So most people only think about how much cash flow they get every month, meaning, and when we say cash flow, the rental income produced by the building should cover all of the operating expenses, from the existing mortgage to maintenance to utilities, taxes. Everything should be covered by the rental income, and then the difference, whatever is left over, is your positive cash flow that you get every single month. And people forget that there's also value in equity in the building. So what is equity? Equity is the net value of the building, meaning what the market value is, and that's really out of your control because that can fluctuate based on the market, right? What other houses selling in your area that are similar size, shape, whatever, what is the going price for that? So what the market value is minus what you are owed on the property. So the difference between the market value and what you owe is your equity or net value. That net value or that equity should increase over time. Why? Because as the mortgage is being paid down from the rental income, then the difference should get greater and greater, right? So you should have more equity because you're paying down what's owed. Also, it changes because most often the value of the property increases over time. Unless the neighborhood is on its way down, the property value will increase. So normally people don't consider this because the only way they think about being able to extract the equity or getting the net value out of it is to sell the property, right? If you sell the property, then you pay off the existing mortgage and you keep the difference, but then you no longer have cash flow. So a lot of new investors don't consider how in the world do you get your equity out of the building and still own it and get positive cash flow. So that leads us to the question, should you pay off the building with your own money and then increase your monthly cash flow? Or should you, here's the thing, should you not only carry the existing debt, but as the equity increases, keep refinancing and pulling the money out? So let's weigh certain things. If you get monthly cash flow, then you will pay taxes on the monthly cash flow, right? So although you're getting monthly cash flow and it's paying off the existing mortgage, so you're carrying it, you pay taxes on the rental income that you get. If you decide to sell the building, you will pay capital gains taxes on the money that you get, and you no longer get any cash flow. If you borrow against the equity, you do not have to pay taxes on borrowed money. So that's like getting free money, because if the rental income still covers it, that's free money. So you're saying, okay, but you get less rental income. So what? You have a big chunk of change that you wouldn't have gotten for years if you add up the cash flow. You get a little less cash flow, but then there's a little less taxes, and you have tax-free money. Now, is that always the best strategy? No, because you have to look at the borrowing costs. So, and you have to relate it to the appreciation cost. So if your building is appreciating, say, at 1.5% annually, that's like taking the equity and sticking it in the bank, and it's getting 1.5% interest every year, right? So that's almost the same thing. So the appreciation rate is almost equivalent to an interest rate. So if you left it there and it's getting 1.5%, growing at 1.5% annually, you know it's growing, you just can't use the money. If you borrow that money at 6%, now how do you justify taking the money and it was getting 1.5%, but now you're paying 6% to have it? That means you would have to take that money that you pull out and put it into another investment vehicle that's not getting 6%, because if it gets 6%, you still should have left it there. It should get 7.5%. That's the 1.5% appreciation plus the 6% you're paying on it. Now you have to minimally get 7.5% return on investment to justify pulling the money out. If you can get more than that, 8%, 9%, 10%, 12%, then it's a great idea, right? So as long as the income from the rent covers the cost of borrowing, plus you're covering the interest that you borrowed it on by putting it into another investment vehicle that pays more, then it makes sense. Then if that's the case, yes, you get a little less monthly cash flow, but you're still getting cash flow, plus you got a chunk of change that you can use to put into another investment vehicle that's going to make you even more money. So if your circumstances are such that you can pull that money out pretty inexpensively, the rental income covers it, and you can put it into something that gets you a better return than having it sit in the walls, then that would be the best strategy for most people. I would never, ever recommend you taking your own money and paying off the mortgage on an investment property, because, again, how are you going to get that money back out? So the whole point of having an investment property is that the rental income covers the costs. So I would never take my own money or money from something else and pay off the mortgage on a cash flow producing investment property to get more cash flow to pay more taxes and have my money tied up in the wall. But would I pull it out and carry more debt if the numbers make sense? So hopefully that answers the question. I'd like to hear your strategies. What would you do? What do you think? What have you done in the past? But please like, share, subscribe. Keep the questions coming, and I'll see you next Tuesday.